Now, if you're anything like me, then all the content that you consume on all platforms are of founders, podcasters, marketers, basically anyone trying to build a business or trying to focus on personal development. And there's two people that really stand out to me that I've been listening to since about 2021. My absolute favorite podcast is My First Million, hosted by Sean Puri and Sam Parr. These boys have now skyrocketed into the podcasting world. Based on numbers from Google, they now do 3 million downloads across all platforms per month. And according to some brief clawed research that I've done, they probably earn around $5 to $10 million in revenue every single year. Anyway, these guys know a lot about how to generate an audience and how to generate revenue from that. So over the last few days, I've spent some time breaking down their funnels, their businesses, and their LinkedIn and online profiles to show you some problems that I would recommend to them, as well as to you, so you can capture more prospects who land on your pages. By the way, my name's Drew, I'm a marketer and a founder, and I spent years writing and selling on LinkedIn. And in that time, I've racked up millions of impressions and generated thousands of leads for clients. Now, there are two links in the description of this video. Number one is to get a free profile audit. For a future video, I'm gonna do something very similar, but for people that submit their own profiles. And number two, if you think at the end of this video, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about, then you can get your profile completely sorted out by me in the description, but make sure to wait to the end of the video till you do that. Okay, so let's jump over to this screen. So as you can see, My First Million, they've got 918,000 subscribers, have 2,000 videos. A lot of those will be short, and actually listening to the early podcasts they've done back in the day, they were talking about the strategies they used to generate buzz and to actually generate that initial audience. And a lot of their strategy was from taking big, long podcasts and obviously clipping them into something that are more viral. If you look here, you can actually see and filter straight away by popularity, and you can see some of their shorts are hitting 20 million, 12 million, 12 million views, and that led them to creating a much bigger audience, and people would get interested and know their faces and see that they were an authoritative voice in the space, and then, you know, would bring them to the longer form videos later down the line. So now, just from a quick Google search, you can see that revenue is probably around the $6 to $10 million mark. They've got a total of 200 million views on their YouTube channel, and they get an average of about 1 million to 3 million per month on all different platforms. So they'll obviously be on Spotify, YouTube, etc. One thing that's interesting is to see how this ties into the companies that they run. So this isn't obviously their main business, which is crazy to say, but this was actually started by Sam Parr, I believe, under the name The Hustle, which he then sold to HubSpot. So that is now owned by HubSpot, and I imagine they'll take a cut of everything that comes through there. But what they do, and if you listen to podcasts, you'll understand, is that they promote their businesses through the podcast. They've both got huge personal brands. They're massive on X, Instagram, and they have just started to do LinkedIn. But what I wanted to do today was break down their actual LinkedIn funnels, because I think they're leaving quite a lot on the table in terms of how people are viewing their content, and then also from people who actually look at their content versus people who actually move further down the funnel and convert or buy from one of their businesses. So looking at Sam here to start, I mean, straight away, if I look at this, he's not using his banner at all. He's just got a picture of some sort of event. I imagine that was HustleCon back in the day that he used to run, which is really impressive, all those people and all of that. But actually it does nothing for his business. Right now, Sam is pushing Hampton, which is a business he started a few years ago, which from my understanding is basically a vetted membership community. Yeah, so for entrepreneurs and founders. So for people doing more than 3 million a year or so, you can join Hampton and you can have sort of a network of people where you meet up every single week and you talk about your business, you talk about your struggles, etc. Now, this is a great business and he's done really well. I believe they've scaled past $20 million in revenue. But what I don't see here is any link to The Hustle at all. He has got a visit my website button, which is good. And that does go straight into the Hampton website, which is also decent. I actually like this website. I won't break that down because Sam's probably got more experience on this than I do. But interesting to see that his actual LinkedIn profile doesn't talk about Hampton too much. The one thing I would say as well to Sam is founder of Hampton does nothing for you, right? Talk about what you actually do and what Hampton helps people achieve. That's what I would look at. And also I'd look at changing that banner, because at the end of the day, that's your prime real estate and you're not utilizing it to the fullest degree. Now, when it comes to Sam's content, pretty decent, I like it, but he doesn't really talk about Hampton that much. There's no direct links to anything in here. Sam's content is brilliant. The guy is a bit of a master in copywriting and media, right? His previous company, I believe The Hustle, sold for something like $20 million. And that was all a media company where they started a newsletter and scaled and was bought by HubSpot as well. So this is brilliant, right? But what I would say is I'd like to see a bit more of Hampton branding on his actual profile. Also, there's no links in his featured section. I would love to see a bit more relevancy here. I know copythat.com is something that he's worked on, which is like a copywriting website, but I'm guessing that's not as important as the My First Million podcast or Hampton for that matter. So I would look at updating these links. I'd also maybe chuck in a case study. So just a post like he's talked about down here with Hampton and how this person was able to scale because of Hampton. I would look at putting that in his featured section, because that's a really good case study. Then people can go, oh wow, this is really useful, and you can go from there. I'd also like to see a link in his bio probably, or at least a call to action. I'd also say his about section, which is cool, is something that talks very much about him. It's not about his ICP or his client, whatever. I don't see any of that here. So that's what I'd say for Sam. Now, moving on to Sean Puri. Again, very similar. When I look here, I don't know what he's working on right now. Now, from listening to the podcast, I believe Sean is, he's got his hand in many pies. He's working on a number of different businesses. But what I would love to see, investor/founder of what? Okay, who are you helping? What are you doing? How are you capturing these people that are looking at your profile? Because you've got 69,000 followers. Surprising to see that Sam's ahead of you. That's probably a little bit of a race to see who can get to 100K first. But I don't see much going on here. Also, big problem I'd say with Sean, I know he loves this little photo. He's got it on his Twitter as well. But it's not as recognizable, right? Because that isn't you. So I don't know. Even if I know Sean Puri, I might not clock that it's you based on the image. So I would look at probably replacing that with a nice headshot, pretty chill, relaxing. You don't have to be too formal because he's got a big personal brand and people know him as kind of a storyteller and a humorous bloke, which he is. So I would try and utilize that a bit more. Same with the banner. It's like, what businesses are you working on right now? I don't actually know if he's on Shark Tank. Pretty cool if he is, but I'm pretty sure that he's not. So what I would say is I'd try and orient the profile a bit more about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to push. Do you want people to go and watch the podcast or listen to the podcast? Do you want people to go and buy from the companies that are invested in? You've got a massive personal brand. Even just putting links to those companies in your featured section will probably bring in thousands of more people per month, because people are clicking on here and going, oh, what's Sean Puri up to these days? If you just said, oh, I'm invested in X company, then people are going to start looking at it a bit more. The link that he's got in his description, I believe just a blog page, which is cool. The guy's got a lot of valuable lessons to give, right? He also sold his company, I believe, to Twitch, or at least one of his first companies. And now he's an investor in probably dozens of other ones. So I would look at, okay, what ones do you actually want to push? What businesses are you invested in that you want more traffic to, or in the public eye? I'd love to see from Sean here, investor in XYZ and, where those businesses are at. Obviously, there's some parts of it where you do want to be a little bit more conspicuous and, not share all the details. But I would say, from my perspective, as a long-term listener in MFN, I'd love to see a bit more about the companies that you've helped and what you've been able to do for them. So again, I'd say to Sean, he's not really using his prime real estate. He's not really talking about any of the businesses that he's involved in, or at least publicly, I'm not able to see that as much when I visit his profile. And it's a bit harder for me to enter the top of the funnel because he's also pointing me towards his Twitter, right? I would say never post one social that goes to another social, because it's wasted traffic, right? Because if I go from one social to another social, now I'm just going to start scrolling Twitter. I'm here to consume, I'm here to be entertained. But if you really want people to enter your funnel, how do you capture them and get them on an email list or an own list or part of a business where you can actually go and sell to them if they fit in that ICP of the company that you're trying to build? So I'd say to Sean, yeah, maybe look at changing this picture. I'm sure it works on Twitter and you've got a bit more leniency there because X is a bit more stealthy and people like that. But on LinkedIn, I want to know the man. I want to recognize, oh, that's Sean from My First Million. Oh, what is he working on now? Let's have a look. And be able to sort of click through all of those things. And if I am someone who would be a target customer for one of those businesses, then make that aware, make it easy for me to go and buy from you, because I'm sure the guy's invested in a lot of companies. Same with Sam. how do we push those narratives and how do we build those companies from the following that you've got. So when it comes to LinkedIn or any socials in general, the goal is to make it as simple as possible for people to go from your socials pages into your funnel to buying your product or your service. It should be so easy that your grandma can navigate it. And if she can't, well, then it's very difficult. Then especially as a smaller creator, content seems useless, because if you're not making it easy for people to buy from you, well, then they're not going to do it. It's almost like going into a restaurant and you're sitting down and you're asking for a menu, and that takes, 30 minutes and there's a queue and all sorts of stuff. Now, when you sit down, there's no prices on the menu. You go, hang on a minute, like, I'm not sure I want to eat here because I'm not sure how expensive it is. So I would say make it as simple as possible, make it easy for people to purchase from you. And that is what's going to make the most difference when it comes to content. When you've got a bigger personal brand like some of these guys, great. But how can you do that more effectively on a smaller scale? Because if I can't visit your profile right now, understand what you do, who you do it for, and how much that service costs, well, then I'm less likely to buy because the barrier to entry is really high. So make that super low, make it so your grandma can buy from you, and that will make your content output much more valuable, because it actually points to something that helps increase revenue in the business. Now, again, there's 2 links in the description. Number 1 is to get your profile looked at by me in a future video just like this. You can submit your profile using that. And number 2, if you think, oh, this Drew bloke really knows what he's talking about, then you can click the link below and I will sort your profile out completely for you so that it's optimized to convert those prospects that visit your page.